Welcome to the deep dive. You've given us your reading list, and well, we're here to really dig into it and pull out the core knowledge for you. Today, we're looking at educational tourism, and specifically, we're focusing on Thailand. It's a fascinating place.
Exactly. Yeah, Thailand's a really rich backdrop for this topic.
Yeah.
You've got the unique language, which is sort of a gateway in itself, right?
Right.
And then this incredibly deep culture, history, and just a huge variety of learning opportunities. Our main source today is the article, The Role of Educational Tourism in Thailand Opportunities and Challenges.
Okay, good. So let's unpack this. Our mission, essentially, is to pull out the most important insights, to look at the opportunities, the possibilities, and also the challenges. What obstacles does Thailand face in this educational tourism sector?
Right.
And the article seems to break it down into three main areas: academic exchanges, cultural immersion, and language learning.
That's right. Those are the big three categories identified. And what's really interesting, I think, is that while the article definitely talks about the challenges, and we'll get into those, the overall feeling is one of, significant potential, huge potential for growth.
And this growth isn't just about, say, filling university places.
No, not at all. It's much bigger than that.
Oh.
It's about strengthening Thailand's education sector overall, yes, but it also has really broad implications for the economy.
Okay. So maybe we should start at the beginning for you, the listener. What exactly is educational tourism, especially when we talk about Thailand?
Good question. At its heart, it's this blend, It's where travel and exploring meet learning and understanding. The article points out that Thailand traditionally had a base in things like language study, maybe practical training, practicums.
Okay.
But it's really expanded. Now you see a lot more social and cultural learning programs, and those have become, well, quite popular.
And the article gives an example, right? Something called the Atulya Thai program.
Yes. That's a great example from Free Penham University. It really highlights the shift. It's not your standard study abroad setup.
How so?
Well, it involves things like homestays, living with local families, really engaging with the ethical customs that shape daily life there.
Wow. So it's a proper immersion, a deep dive into the culture itself, not just looking from the outside.
Exactly. That program really shows the move towards, let's say, a deeper engagement. And another big draw, we can't forget this, is Buddhism.
Ah, wow.
People travel there specifically to study Buddhist principles, yes, but also to kind of absorb the whole atmosphere, the practices, the nuances of this, incredibly influential tradition in Thailand.
That makes sense. And the numbers are quite something. I think the article mentioned a 2009 report, 150,000 international students.
That's right, 150,000 back in 2009. And a lot of that growth was coming from within Asia itself.
And the key point the article makes is that these aren't just tourists adding a class or two.
No, exactly. For many of them, these trips were seen as a really vital part of their education, integral to it, not just, a side trip or a holiday with a bit of learning tacked on.
So they really saw their time in Thailand as this transformative educational thing.
Precisely. It kind of blurs those old lines between just traveling for fun and serious academic work.
Okay, let's maybe zoom out a bit. What about the bigger picture? The economic impact, the cultural significance for Thailand itself?
Economically, it's pretty substantial. Educational tourism brings in revenue through, well, obviously tuition fees, but also all the related spending by students, accommodation, food, travel, everything. Plus, it creates jobs. The article really highlights that spending by foreign students is actually a major export category, globally speaking.
Right. So for you listening, it's not just Thailand selling education. It's competing in this global market where education is the export.
Exactly. And it's a market with huge revenue potential.
The article uses Australia as an example, doesn't it? New South Wales projecting big income increases for more international students.
Yes, that's a good comparison. It shows this isn't unique to Thailand. Lots of countries, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia, Canada, Ireland, the UK, even Quebec, they've all seen the benefits of exporting education services.
And it's not just the tuition fees, is it? There's a knock-on effect.
Absolutely. The article mentions a multiplier effect. For every dollar, or baht in this case, earned in tuition, there's a much larger impact on the local economy. Housing, healthcare, retail, transport, it ripples outwards.
So it's a widespread boost, not just benefiting the universities. Okay, what about the cultural side?
Culturally, it's really important. It fosters this greater mix of people, of cultures. Students coming from all over the world bring their perspectives, their ideas. It gives Thailand, a broader worldview. It creates this natural melting pot, this exchange of traditions and viewpoints, right there on the ground.
The article mentions Chulalongkorn University specifically. Its long history of attracting international students and this ambition to represent Asia globally. That really speaks to the cultural significance, doesn't it?
It really does. It shows it's not just a recent trend, but something deeply embedded in some institutions. And beyond that immediate cultural mixing, it's also a vital source of foreign currency.
Ah, right, foreign exchange.
Yeah. The article even points back to 1979, mentioning how educational tourism indirectly helped fund Thai students studying abroad through repatriated money. So it's kind of a two-way street.
Interesting. So international students coming in helps Thai students go out. Okay, let's delve into those three types you mentioned earlier. Starting with academic exchange programs, what do those typically look like?
Okay, so these are basically partnerships, collaborations between Thai universities and universities overseas.
Right.
They facilitate swapping students, sometimes faculty too, across different subjects, different disciplines.
And how long do these usually last?
They can vary quite a bit. Could be short, like 1 to 3 months. Could be a whole semester or even a full academic year.
And there are different models for these partnerships.
Exactly. You've got your direct student exchanges, one student swaps places with another, you have faculty exchanges, and then collaborations may be involving international organizations as well.
Uh-huh.
The main goal is always to let students, broaden their academic horizons. And usually, the credits they earn overseas can be transferred back to their home university.
The article mentioned free while study and fee-paying models. Can you quickly explain the difference there for us?
Sure. Free while study is like a reciprocal deal. Exchange students go to the partner university, but they keep paying their tuition fees to their home university. They don't pay extra tuition to the host.
Ah, okay, like a direct swap?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Fee paying is simpler. The student pays tuition directly to the host university they're visiting. The free while study can obviously be a big plus for students worried about cost.
Makes sense.
While the fee-paying model might give the host university more direct income, maybe for program development. But either way, the core idea is that immersive academic experience.
And these are mostly for undergrads.
Primarily, yes. That's the main target group. And it's useful to distinguish, as the article does, between a true exchange, where you leave your home uni for a bit,
Like swapping houses.
kind of, and taught programs where you actually enroll in the host university's regular courses, more like being a temporary student there.
Okay, so whether it's a swap or enrolling, support must be pretty important.
Absolutely crucial. The article stresses how important dedicated staff and faculty are for guiding and mentoring these students. And it's not just students. Faculty exchanges happen too, which makes the whole learning environment richer, more dynamic.
So what are the main upsides of these academic exchanges?
Oh, there are many. Sharing knowledge, obviously. Sharing best practices between universities. Fostering real cultural understanding between students, between faculty. Huge potential for personal growth for everyone involved. And, of course, it boosts the global reputation of the universities participating.
Sounds great. Win-win, almost. But the article flags some challenges, too. What are the main roadblocks?
Yeah, it's not all smooth sailing. Funding is a big one. Financial constraints. Keeping these programs going needs steady investment.
Right.
Sometimes there's just not enough institutional buy-in, maybe not a full appreciation of how valuable these global links are. Getting funding can be tough.
And coordination.
That's another issue. There isn't always a central body, effectively coordinating everything nationwide. It can be a bit fragmented.
Fragmented infrastructure, quality control. It sounds like a theme might be emerging, needing a more joined-up approach.
I think that's fair to say, yes.
Yeah.
If Thailand wants to be seen as like a consistently high-quality destination, a more cohesive approach is needed.
So it's often based on individual agreements between universities.
Yes, the article mentions memorandums of understanding, MOUs being common. But it also notes that some top universities are trying to tackle the funding issue by setting up trust funds, specifically to help students from less wealthy backgrounds participate.
That's a good step, making it more accessible. Okay, let's shift to the second category. Cultural immersion programs. What's the main idea here?
Right. These are all about offering really authentic cultural experiences, often through local learning centers or community development projects.
So less about textbooks, more about real life.
Exactly. The focus is immersing participants in the day-to-day stuff, going way beyond what a typical tourist sees or does.
Like that homestay example earlier.
Precisely. It's about living it, breathing it, sharing meals, taking part in routines, understanding the local way of life from the inside.
The article mentions youth exchanges going to Chiang Rai for cultural submersion. What makes that different from just, visiting Chiang Rai.
It's the depth, the authenticity of the engagement. Immersion programs aim for genuine understanding of customs, norms, traditions. It's active participation, not passive observation, firsthand learning within the community itself.
So it's about doing things, not just seeing them.
Exactly. Active participation is key. Homestays, like we said, but also things the article lists, like volunteer projects, work camps doing specific tasks, culture camps focused on traditions, even Enlightenment learning camps.
That sounds incredibly rich and potentially much more impactful than a standard tour.
Yeah.
Any specific challenges with these kinds of programs?
Well, quality assurance, again, it can be tricky. You have so many different local providers. Ensuring a consistently high-quality, enriching experience for everyone is a challenge. And the article rightly stresses the need for respect. Respect for local wisdom and a real commitment to preserving the culture, not disrupting it.
Crucial point. Learn and engage, but don't damage what you came to experience. Okay, third category, language learning. The article said this was sort of foundational for educational tourism in Thailand.
Yes, language programs are still incredibly popular. And partly because, well, even learning basic Thai massively enhances your overall experience as a visitor, right?
Totally. Helps you understand the culture, food, customs, everything.
Exactly. Language is like a key. It unlocks a deeper level of understanding of a society.
The article mentioned some universities in Bangkok are even mixing language learning with virtual cultural tours. That's clever.
Yeah, it's a way to provide context, make it immersive even before you get there.
Yeah.
And Thailand offers a whole range of courses. Short, intensive ones for tourists, longer programs for business people or students planning to stay a while.
Quality control issues here too, I imagine.
Unfortunately, yes. The article notes you've got both qualified and, well, unqualified instructors out there. There's a definite need for better regulation of language schools.
Is anything being done about that?
There are efforts. They mentioned trying to set up a Thai teachers training council to standardize things, curriculums, teaching methods.
Like getting a recognized seal of approval.
Something like that. Because without it, it's harder for international students or institutions to really trust the quality. And that can hold back growth in the long run.
Quality again. It really seems like the critical thread running through all of this.
It really is. But on the positive side, the article also points out that Thai diplomats really value language learners.
Yeah.
They see them as playing a big role in shaping positive views of Thailand around the world.
That makes sense.
Yeah, this growing global interest in learning Thai really acts as a bridge between cultures.
Definitely. Investing time in the language shows a deeper respect, a deeper engagement. Okay, let's broaden out again. Thinking about the overall benefits of educational tourism in Thailand, maybe beyond the specific types we've discussed.
Well, the article defines it quite broadly. Participating in study groups, immersive tours, language training, cultural exchange, all aimed at personal growth. So for the individual, it's access to international courses, maybe professional development they couldn't get at home.
And it affects more than just the participants.
Oh, absolutely. It could boost the job market, bringing in skilled people or training people in key sectors.
Yeah.
It expands access to quality education generally, while also promoting Thai culture, language, specialized services globally.
So it builds connections.
Yes, it fosters a more connected global community, bringing different cultures, different worldviews together.
The article really pushes this idea of social and national benefits. The culture sharing, the improved mutual understanding. It sounds like a genuinely symbiotic relationship.
That's a great way to put it. A symbiotic relationship between the international visitors and Thailand as the host. And remember, it covers both inbound foreigners coming to Thailand and outbound Thais going abroad. Both are part of this exchange.
It's interesting, too, how tourism and hospitality elements are getting woven into education now. Field trips, hands-on work. It sounds much more engaging.
It definitely reflects how education itself is changing, moving towards more experiential, practical learning. And like the article says, the economic pluses are clear, but so is that deepening cultural understanding.
Facilitating that direct interaction with local communities seems key, leading to real appreciation, promoting global citizenship, and concrete economic benefits for those communities through tourist spending.
Exactly. And those educational tourists can become real ambassadors for cultural preservation, for sustainable tourism practices. Often these trips spark a lifelong interest in learning, continued exploration long after they've gone home.
It sounds like it really has the power to break down cultural barriers, foster proper dialogue. You mentioned the demand for homestays, temple stays, meditation retreats.
Yeah, those offer even deeper ways to connect, gain firsthand insights. And the benefits flow back to the host communities, too, building global networks. And, as the article stresses, helping cultivate more compassionate, open-minded people, which, let's face it, the world needs.
Absolutely. Immersion can really shatter stereotypes, change perspectives, turn people into advocates for tolerance. And there are practical skills too, right? Soft skills, real-world experience.
Definitely. Cross-cultural environments are fantastic training grounds for young professionals. The mentorship that often comes with these programs builds confidence, practical skills. It's professional development that goes way beyond just another job offering new expertise.
And then that knowledge gets taken back home or applied locally, creating this positive feedback loop. It drives personal growth, self-reflection, lifelong learning, all through actually doing things.
Exactly. Experiential learning, immersive internships, workshops, short-term jobs, they build career readiness in a way a classroom alone often can't. It's about real experiences building real skills.
Okay, so we've covered the what, the why, the types, the benefits. Let's pivot now to the challenges and the future. What are the big hurdles?
Well, infrastructure and resources come up again strongly. Limitations there are a major obstacle.
Meaning things like?
Everything from enough good classrooms and decent student housing to reliable transport and maybe crucially consistent internet access.
The article said some universities outsource facilities. That sounds temporary.
It does. And the article suggests real investment in dedicated education infrastructure is needed for the long term. Plus, there are regional differences, right? Some parts of Thailand have more funding, more staff, better infrastructure than others. That makes it hard to offer consistent quality everywhere.
That forest school example, again, great interaction, but tiny numbers. It shows how resources limit the scale.
Exactly. The article sort of implicitly compares that small, possibly high-impact program with potentially larger ones, highlighting those resource trade-offs.
And the other big challenge flagged was quality assurance and accreditation. That sounds complicated.
It is. Because you have such a mix of institutions, universities, private schools, community centers, creating one single accreditation system that works for everyone is really difficult.
Are there any accrediting bodies?
There are a couple of English-speaking ones mentioned in the region, but the article notes a lack of a strong, representative Thai association focused solely on ensuring global quality standards for educational tourism.
So no single stamp of approval people can trust?
Largely no, which, as we said, makes it harder for students and overseas partners to judge quality, and that can definitely hinder growth.
The article suggested different government ministries working together.
Yes, perhaps collaborating on standards. Because existing policies might not really be keeping up with how quickly this sector is changing, how university services are evolving.
And quality isn't just about accreditation bodies, is it?
No, absolutely not. The article points to things like not hiring properly qualified teachers as a clear quality warning sign, and also this trend of some tourism universities offering perhaps more leisure-focused courses without clear standards that could potentially damage the reputation of the more serious educational programs.
So it comes back to qualified staff, proper admission standards, and institutions needing to constantly innovate and adapt.
Exactly. Especially with younger generations wanting more practical, interactive learning, programs need to deliver real skills.
Okay, and the final big challenge area mentioned was sustainability and responsible tourism, increasingly important everywhere.
Hugely important. And educational tourism is often linked quite closely to community-based tourism. But any tourism, if not managed well, can have negative impacts.
Right. Like cultural erosion, environmental damage.
Precisely. Pollution, littering, impact on wildlife, changing landscapes. So responsible travel by students is vital. The article really pushes for programs that are environmentally sound and genuinely benefit local people and places.
And avoiding harm to local culture.
Absolutely. Avoid strategies that damage heritage or local ways of life. Instead, actively involve local people in designing and delivering the programs. Students themselves can even contribute to conservation through their involvement.
It's that tricky balance, again, encouraging tourism growth but protecting culture and nature. The article mentions some specific programs working on this.
Yes, programs focused on sustainable tourism, community rejuvenation, trying to restore that balance. Economic, environmental, cultural, social, and again, that experience of really participating with locals can be incredibly powerful for fostering respect.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this, bringing it all together. What are the main opportunities and the biggest challenges for Thailand here?
Well, the opportunities are definitely there. You've got this diverse range of programs that could attract people from all over, huge potential for economic growth, really valuable cultural exchange, and skills development for everyone involved.
The challenges are significant too.
They are. Infrastructure limitations, resource gaps, those complex issues around quality assurance and getting proper accreditation sorted out, and the absolute need for sustainable, responsible practices to be embedded in everything. That's critical.
And the article's main message seems to be about working together.
Yes. Collaboration is key. Between the educators, the government bodies, the local communities, everyone needs to be pulling in the same direction to really lift the quality and ensure this is sustainable for the long haul.
If they can manage that, the potential seems enormous.
Absolutely. By tackling these challenges together, Thailand really could become a top international destination for both education and cultural exchange.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener. Given how intertwined education, travel, and culture clearly are, what kind of innovative ideas could make this even better? How can we boost the benefits for both the international students looking for these experiences and for the Thai communities hosting them? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.